Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. How are you all doing out there? Hope it's going well for you this week. We're at the hump yet. Coming to you live from Phuket, where we have packed buses. What's going on here? Oh, someone's trying to get out. I can't go where I need to go until okay. All right. Yeah. Off up the road. So I thought it would be an opportune moment to catch up, see how you're doing. So please feel free to, join in the chat and stuff, but I won't be able to read it until later, but it's always good to see what's said. And interesting times, hey? I think one of the other kind of recent things that's been going on in general among the real woke, the awake, is attention and focus on the fact that the WHO has been trying to extend its tentacles, and so the aware public have put pressure on the UK government, and there's also been news. I think I saw it was on Pauline Hanson's website, the Australian opposition, talking about how Africa, various countries, numerous countries in Africa, have rejected or made sure that the WHO is not going to end up controlling the health policies and rules and regulations of sovereign nations. And it's good, it's great, in a way. What's happened is what I hope would happen early on in this whole thing, is that it would generate more awareness. It would wake more people up to the centralized power grabs and control that exists, and the fact that many politicians are in power not to serve the people, but to serve themselves or serve other agendas set forth by a small number of people that are behind organizations such as the UN, the WHO, and of course we're often given these ideas. These ideas are put forward that would appear beneficial on the surface. Yes, we've got to combat this, we've got to combat that. But of course, this is the typical problem, reaction, solution thing. Create a problem, talk about it, get it into the minds of the masses, and then of course there's this idea that you provoke this reaction of someone's got to do something about it, do something, and of course all heads turn to the organizations with that have been handed the power to do so. So I did see a reaction from the UK government about obviously a response to the petition. So fair shout to everyone that did that. It's like there is, democracy isn't necessarily dead. The system is there. The democratic systems are in place and the mechanisms and stuff. It's just that, of course, many of us have become very apathetic. That, of course, is a consequence of the various, convenient lifestyles we have, and the way we're bamboozled a lot of the time, and we're just kind of left to leave it to the experts. They'll take care of it. That's their job. But of course, that's the thing. You've got to keep a constant eye. There's got to be constant vigilance on these people that are put in the positions of trust. It's these systems are there, and of course, it's up to us to participate in this democratic process that we demand. And so, great, you can argue about whether protests their agendas, Of course, the UK government's response was something along the lines of, "We will always take their," or whatever. There's still and we've got to make sure that there are safety measures and things. But they did finish off by saying that much debate would take place before any ratification of such agendas, in Parliament before, and there would be. So at least, and has been forced in that respect. It doesn't matter what kind of excuses they make, and we know that just talking about making it through a pandemic is moot because there wasn't one in the first place. But it's great, isn't it? Yeah, don't you think? There is. And this is what being in the truth movement, as it were, is all about. This is waking people up so they can take action on an individual basis. The whole kind of flat Earth is a conduit. It's a way to waking up. It's not the only thing. It's massive. Of course, it's an illusion that we're born into. And I was wondering about this. You should check out Effed Up World. I can't remember how you spell it. EFD Up World. The guy does a lot of videos, but he makes some good points. Often refers to the Bible, and it's very, very interesting the way he talks about things. So one of the questions, of course, is how can everyone be in on the lie? And of course, well, it's not. If you're asking that question, if you're saying, well, how can everyone be in on the lie if I don't know that it's a lie? Well, that's the thing. You believe it, so you might believe in a lie, but it doesn't, and that's the same as everyone else. Even the people sending rockets up or building little bits and bobs that will go on to a rover that's supposedly going to end up on Mars. They're doing stuff in their field of expertise, and they're told that it's going to be it's going to go into space and go and be stuck in the ground on another planet. And they can happily believe that, but they're still doing something practical. So, they're not lying. They just believe the lie. So the point that this guy Effed Up World made was something he talked about the Bible and how it says that, we've differentiated between man lying or the devil lying. So, men are deceived by the lies of the devil. So whatever you want to consider the devil to be, whether it's something tangible, a demon, or whatever, you can debate those kinds of things for eternity. Yeah, but he also made another good point that the heavens, the dome above there, that's their realm. That's God's realm, or whoever's realm, the overseer's realm. We're not supposed to get there. We never are going to be getting there. And this just makes me think about another point I was discussing with my friend in the UK the other day. He's a very kind Patreon, so we have the occasional chat. And of course, if you think about the physics of something like a submarine, we're of course talking about the ISS and the impossibilities of something being up there for such a long time and not needing any major maintenance, all these bits and pieces and stuff under extreme pressures and conditions. But no, we were talking about the physics of submarines, and you have your container with your pressure, but what you can do with a submarine, you can have a hatch on the top and you can have a hatch on the bottom. If you open the hatch on the top, all the water comes in, but if you open a hatch on the bottom, then the pressure keeps the water out, doesn't it? You can actually have a hatch where you can dive down, like a diving bell. Yeah. So, I wonder if you want to think about ways out or off this world, maybe you got to go down the hatch, not up. Up's the distraction. Yeah. I mean, I sometimes think about the Earth as being, we could be somehow floating on very, very dense saline water, which is what you do find gurgling up from the bottom, at the bottom or under the seabed, from under the seabed. The possibilities are infinite, aren't they, really, as to where we are? And that is, of course, the problem. We are born into this life of illusions where it's assumed that we have all the answers, we're told that they've got it all sussed out. This is where you are. There's no need to question it anymore, unless you just continue to further the thought experiments and the presuppositions that we've already presented with you. Zach, Good Times for All, he was talking the other day about the fact that we have the knowledge, the technology, we know how to extract energy, whether you talk about the positive, negative electric charges between the earth and us and the air and all these other things, frequencies, stars in a jar. There are all sorts of there's all sorts of wondrous science based on real physics that could be used and applied to our everyday existence. Of course, oil is another thing. Oil and the illusion of scarcity is one that is very common. This is the capitalist religion, isn't it? Create the illusion of scarcity and with something that's not scarce. Diamonds, for example, they're not necessarily rare, they're not scarce, they're just carbon. Yes, they can be made very pretty, but of course a lot of PR and marketing was done to equate diamonds to wealth, and so a whole industry has been created there. Of course, diamonds are used in industry anyway for cutting. They've got very good qualities, but that's probably the same stuff. It's just that they're cut differently. So they're an excellent material and obviously very widely used around the world in industry. It's funny talking about that. My work as an editor is I often come across the words around the globe or globally, and I always change it because that's part of the reinforcement, isn't it? People do this by habit. They're not, when someone says globally recognized or something like that, they're not lying by saying a globe. They just think they're using what they know is a common appropriate word, and they perpetuate it. So everyone plays a role in perpetuating the illusion, even with the language that we use. If I do something like this, if I say rabbit, something pops into your head. You have a particular picture that pops into your head. If I say biscuit, a particular picture pops into your head. It might be a rich tea, it might be a bourbon, who knows. If I say elephant, then a particular picture pops into your head, or flower. And if I say earth, what pops into your head? Well, even if you're a flat earther, a globe probably still pops into your head, because that's the associated imagery with a word to describe our home, where we are. Boom, but unlike all the other images, rabbits and elephants and what have you, biscuits, these are real things that we've all seen and experienced. And okay, for example, when I said biscuit, you might have, thought of a different kind of biscuit depending on your own experience and preference for biscuits. Yeah, a rabbit, you might have envisioned a cartoon or something like or something that you've seen in the wild yourself, or a wildlife program, or a bunny rabbit that you had as a kid in a hutch. It would be different, but you'd still be talking about the same thing. But the word earth is emblazoned in our mind's eye, of course, as a globe. Another really good point someone made the other day is that even if you could get really high up, oh, that was it. It was Aussie Jesus. Yeah, I can't remember what's your channel name now, Aussie Jesus. But go and check him out. Flat Earth Aussie. I think you've renamed your channel now. Yeah, Flat Earth Aussie. Go check him out because he's got some lovely commentary, and he was talking about the fact that if you could get up really high and photograph massive swaths or swathes of the Earth, entire countries and continents, then actually you just wouldn't see them because it would just be hazy and cloudy, and you would never get the kind of clarity that they give us in these globe images and then Photoshop the clouds on. So I saw on Twitter the other day two images of Australia, one, I think it's Australia, whatever, one at night and one in the daytime with the exact same cloud across. So this is the thing, isn't it? We have all these images. Oh yeah, back to the point about what the effed up world was making. Of course, the ISS, the whole ISS thing is again satellites. I must admit that that was the last thing that I kind of I was holding on to the globe with was satellites, because of course we assume that the mechanics of a satellite is to be shot up in there and go around a spherical Earth. Because we all know the Newtonian physics, even if we know how we get the principle, even if you might not be so adept at calculating. It doesn't matter. The principle is understood. Go fast enough to stop yourself being pulled down towards the Earth, and you go round it instead. That's basically the principle, isn't it? And of course, it relies on up there being a vacuum because there's no resistance. All theoretical physics from the marbles that what's his face was playing with. Can't remember now. Galileo. He focused on friction. Anyway. That's all. Where was I going with that? Yes, the ISS. So, of course, when people talk about satellites and the ISS, and I do not deny, yeah, let's be clear about this, I do not deny that it's possible to see something, and I think a lot of so-called flat earthers are the same. We accept that there is something up there. Now, it's a globe Earth. Again, if you refer to real physics and the way toroids work, energy, water, think of water going down a plug hole, the vortex that's created, and then think about the sun going around the Earth and how that creates a vortex, or maybe it is part of a vortex. The cause and effect thing is all up for debate again. But if you just consider that the air above us is doing some kind of vortex that's creating the winds, whatever, all this stuff, it's that's much more in line with real physics. If you consider that up there could be kind of liquid gas, the noble gases, the lighter gases, hydrogen, helium, what have you, they're cold, and so you've got this liquid-like environment, which is the same as there's no resistance. It's the same as a vacuum, yeah, but it's an actual substance in which everything is carried around. So yeah, maybe you can get satellite and the winds and all that stuff. I mean, they go very fast up there. So there's no denying that you could put something up there and what they would call a satellite, like a balloon. Since NASA's been launching balloons, they've been calling them satellites, yeah? So they're not lying when they say we put a satellite in orbit going around above the Earth. It's not a lie. It's just that it depends on how you perceive that. the same as the word circumference? Do you perceive that as the girth of a spherical Earth, or just a circle on a level plane representing the equator? Yeah, these are all, every single aspect of this can be reinterpreted, but we've just taught to interpret things in a certain way. Yeah. Now, it could be possible, who knows, if the people that are trained up as astronauts and stuff are somehow fooled or convinced or made to believe that they're up on this space station traveling at, 15,000 miles an hour or something nuts like that, when really it's all being simulated. Now, I worked at Disney a long time ago, and they had a Star Wars ride. It was a simulator, and it was essentially these boxes with a projector and all these seats. And you sat in it, and you thought you were in a spacecraft, and they could make you feel like you were going up. It was basically it was on 4 or 5 legs, so you could get any angle you wanted with this thing. So, of course, to make you feel as if you're being thrust forward at incredible speeds, they would tip you back, and you could kind of graduate that and do it in increments, and you could have that prolonged feeling of being in an object that's accelerating for quite, jumping to light speed and all that stuff for quite a while. But you can't see outside, so you don't know which direction you're really facing. Basically, I'm just saying it's possible to simulate that to an extent. Obviously, a rocket trip is quite a long trek. But maybe you could, if you're up. Actually, once you're up to speed, this is it, isn't it? The conservation of momentum and these kinds of real physics. Once you've stopped accelerating and you're at a constant speed, then the pressure, you're not feeling the G force, are you? So, yeah, they could create that rocket ride feel in some kind of underground facility, and then. When it comes to being weightless, 0G, then again, that's been possible for years, because they've been doing it with what's it called, diamagnetism, where you basically have a tube, like you can have I think they use copper, mainly copper tubes, and surrounded by magnets. And you must have seen those videos where they float frogs and strawberries and things like that. And that's on a very kind of small scale, but you could scale it up, I'm sure. And as long as you've got magnets with enough power, then you could be floating humans. And I'm sure as soon as they discovered that, oh my God, we can make frogs weightless, well, let's do it with humans. I mean, surely they've managed to achieve that in the past 50 years or so. Yeah, it would be nuts if they hadn't. Oh, it's pretty, yeah. So, and you think about the tube-like structure of the ISS. So actually, it's the same as one of these diamagnetism kind of setups, yeah. So there you go. So the main point here is that, again, these astronauts, these people, are not necessarily lying. They believe the lie. Yeah, and they've experienced it. I was up there. I saw the globe. Yeah. Nuts, isn't it? I mean, and I remember a question earlier, why would they spend all that money faking it if they, well, that's the point, that's the money that in this world is unreal. Most of us have absolutely no comprehension of the magnificent wealth that some people have. They play chess with entire nations. That's their game. Yeah. And again, that comes back to what people are realizing, doesn't it? People are now, with the help of so many truth pushers, researchers. There's so many aspects to this. Of course, that's why if you know, a normie can't accept, they can't even comprehend what? Flat Earth? What? They can't even begin to process that, can they? If they've never even considered that what we were talking about earlier on with people in positions of power lying just because of self-preservation. Because again, it comes down to trust, doesn't it? Yeah. So, you know, you have to get used to the idea. It takes a while to get used to the idea that these people that we trust in positions of authority, the gurus, the knowledgeable ones, yeah. Now, I was also thinking, that reminded me, I was discussing this with Leon the other day, that I met, when I was back in the UK, I just got chatting with a guy who, he said he was a bit of an engineer, he worked on submarines, but he was it was to do with the motors, the engines, you know. So I'm like, well, how do they, obviously a diesel engine, if those submarines working on diesel would have been obviously, you know, to run a diesel engine you need air, you need an intake of air, don't you? So where are they going to get their air from? They wouldn't be using the compressed air that they had for the crew. So, but this guy I mentioned that I was talking to, he was kind of trying to pretend it was all hush hush and he couldn't say much, but he said it's something to do with copper plates. And now I might be mistaken, it might be brass, can't remember, copper or some kind of very kind of common metal plates that they use. So chatting about this with Leon, and we kind of worked out between us that I suppose what happens, this might be common knowledge, I don't know, I've never really researched it, but basically if the electrolysis, if you have a current or whatever, or you put these plates in certain liquids or whatever materials, there might be a specific science or for optimum, but you basically get the fizz, you get the water or the hydrogen, or somehow hydrogen or oxygen is created in a kind of electrochemical reaction. So what you've probably got in these submarines that are being powered by diesel engines that don't have an air intake is that they've probably got some system there using these copper plates that are fizzing away, creating lots and lots of bubbles of whatever, whatever gas they're using, and away they go. So they've got their air supply or their gas supply for their engines. Of course, we're kind of talking about in general about, the ISS. I mean, are they trying to tell you that for the past, 15, 20 years, however long it's been up there, they've been using the same air, recycling the same air? Or even if they did have some kind of air purification system, like what I'm describing with the submarines, it's finite. There's still going to be a limit to what you can do with that. But yeah, imagine how it's just because even a house needs a spring clean. You got to open the windows and stuff and let the fresh air in. It would be so unhealthy for you. Imagine that, no fresh air, living in a can of repeatedly recycled air for the past 20 years. No way. Same with the water. That's the thing. You see, you have to have a constant supply of fresh water, because even if you say you're recycling the pee and everything, you know, it's not that you drink a litre of water, you don't pee out a whole litre, do you? There's a whole lot of other stuff absorbed, there's sweat, there's stuff, you just, you know, it's going to be used. It's not just not, it's, yeah. So water would have to be replenished. It's just an impossible feat when you know, in all practical purposes. Yeah, absolutely impossible. Well, I'm coming to my destination soon. I would like to, when I get there, well, I'll just have a quick scroll through the chat. Oh, and thank you for everyone that helped out Andrew Vince, Execrate 200. I think in his latest vid, he said he managed, I think he got about $1,500 together. So that's really, really nice to know. I was able to send a little bit myself, but it's thanks to a whole bunch of people doing that that he's, you know, got some resources now. So that's fantastic. It's really nice, isn't it? You know, to know that, you know. And I must say, yeah, when I first got into this, and you know, Phuket Word was starting to become a little bit popular, and sometimes you got people, you know, obviously you meet a whole wide variety of people, but I remember, you know, someone saying, oh, you know, if anything ever happens, we got your back, Nick. And I, at the time, you know, I was just, you know, just my typical paranoid, wary conspiracy theorist self, like, yeah, you know, it's all people say that. But then of course, when I was in a situation in the UK and I needed help, I didn't really want to ask for it. I wanted to find my way out, and it was thanks to people, you know, other people that could see the need and helped me kind of pluck up the courage to ask for help, you know. And but yeah, so thanks for that. You know, it's always lovely. Right, I've arrived at my destination.
No, you can keep on ranting. It's cool. I've been stalking you this whole time. Hello.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you been watching?
Yeah, I've been watching just to make sure you're on the way.
Okay, you're viewer number 41, because we've got 41 people in. Well, I think, how was your day? All right?
Yeah, good.
Yeah? All right, cool. No, I was just rounding off because I was just saying thank you again to those who have helped Andrew and who helped myself. So yeah, it's all good. Yeah, so, right, I'm going to love you and leave you, yeah? I'll tell you what, I'll have a look at the chat when we get back, because we just need to get back. I've got work to get back to. And yeah, drop some comments and we'll all catch up later on, yeah? Okay, so love you and leave you from rainy Phuket. Take care.